Thank you for the introduction. Actually, this entirely coincidentally leads on brilliantly from what Frank just said. I'm going to start by asking the question, why does WorldDAB exist as an organization? And I would hope if we ask that question of the people in this room, the answer would converge towards this statement. What we should be doing here in this organization is working out how we agree on technology whilst giving ourselves the opportunity to continue to compete on great radio content. We believe that it benefits us to all collaborate and harmonize on solutions for digital radio, which then allow us to develop our own businesses individually. We get together, it's a very similar scenario to this, to identify areas of common interest and then discuss a common solution. Then we do the boring work of verifying and prototyping and documenting that solution. And once we've done that, everybody knows how their part slots in. Interoperability and compatibility are guaranteed. It's like digging a tunnel from two ends at once. We meet perfectly in the middle. Now, the important thing is, of course, that WorldDAB itself doesn't do any of the digging or the building. But what we're here to do is provide the framework for everybody to more effectively build their parts. We can share skills and experience, and we do that in order to collectively build something that is more valuable than the individual parts that we bring. And it's more efficient than everybody going off and doing their own thing, and we just hope that we all join up in the middle. Once we've created those solutions that we all agree on, WorldDAB promotes them and educates people about the benefits of them and manages them so that they are stable and people can reliably build businesses on them. The outcome, well, here's just a small sample of the people who support WorldDAB and within our framework are able to have a diverse market of solutions which all interoperate, they're all compatible, and they're all consistent. No problems at all. Well, the reality is somewhat different to that because there are some real-world factors that come into play. There is a tension, a balance between consistency and differentiation. How do you differentiate yourself from your competitors if everything is identically built? Not more than 10 minutes ago, Lizzie was talking about the diversity of user interfaces we see in vehicles. That's a great example of how each individual manufacturer wants to express their differentiation, their particular design scheme on top of a common base of its DAB digital radio. Some of that diversity is great. It creates great products, it creates innovation, it moves things along, but sometimes it's confusing. We need to allow, within our organization, for the right balance of consistency and differentiation. The next thing that's very difficult, and Frank just referred to this, is clarity of communication. Actually, written language is a terrible way to convey technical information, and it's even harder to deal with when your native language is not English. So it's not always a surprise when something that's been written by one person, as clearly as they could possibly write it, isn't fully understood by somebody else who's implementing it. And finally, we're all human, people make mistakes. If you can't achieve zero mistakes, and you can't, you need a good system to spot those mistakes and correct them quickly in the right way. So far I've talked very generically about problems that exist between the theory of collaboration and the realities of implementation. There are a few of them in the world of DAB. It's a very large and complex technology, and most times we just get them sorted out. But there's one area where it seems that the usual kind of self-healing approach to this isn't working, and I want to talk about how I think WorldDAB can stage an appropriate and effective intervention to correct the market for everybody's benefit. And it's station logos. This single subject, this item, dominates our support queue. Absolutely dominates it. Stations from all over Europe, and actually all over the world, report every day that their radio station is being incorrectly represented in vehicles. Our sense, from the people who are receiving those support requests, those complaints, is that the problem is getting worse. despite there being lots of good solutions available to make it better. Now, I'm going to be the first to say that radio stations are highly reactive organisations. Until they see or hear something going wrong, they tend not to think about it. If they're getting organised now, it's because it's got uncomfortably bad. And I appreciate that there will be plenty of people in this room who are equally frustrated that the radio stations have had years and years and years to get this right. So why is it all happening now and in a hurry? Well, unfortunately, that is the nature of our medium. It's a reactive medium. However, to counter that, there has been an enthusiasm to get station logos into cars, which hasn't always been accompanied by due diligence. Solutions that have been traded and used that were clearly not going to be sustainable, and that shouldn't have been that hard for a product manager to work out. The days of selling databases of logos that go into the car on day one and can never be updated must stop now. Whilst some people are still going to try and sell that slop, we want that to not have a market anymore. We don't want manufacturers to buy it anymore. We want to provide evidence to you to support that, and that evidence will come in a huge number of emails from radio stations saying, why is our radio station logo wrong? This is my favourite example. Wyvern closed down in 2012. This is a brand new car, 2025 vehicle registration plate. So that logo is 13 years old, and there it is in my brand new car. I'm not going to name the manufacturer, but if you recognize the UI, you'll probably know which one it is. So why should the WorldDAB intervene in this situation? Well, the reality is we have good solutions to fix it. And when we keep talking about making the radio experience a high quality in the car, this is the starting point. This is our baseline. Failure to fix this problem is a very visible problem of experience quality. We, in this room, have the relationships to fix this problem. So we wanted to get a bit of an idea of really what's the scale of this problem. What's the cause of the problem? How do we fix the problem? And critically, how do we know if we're making the situation better? So as I say, at the moment, our perception of the scale is it's bad and it's getting worse. That's based on our touch points with radio stations mainly, although occasionally we get it from automotive manufacturers, and that's because those people know how to get hold of us. They know how to email WorldDAB. But a Google search, it's very interesting. If you do a Google search of wrong radio station logos, my goodness, there's a lot of car drivers in a lot of forums out there complaining about it. There could be a number of causes for this. There could be manufacturers buying poor quality static databases. It could also be broadcasters failing to provide their logos correctly. It could be people failing to implement DAB SPI properly, standards failures, misunderstandings. There's a lot of reasons why it could be going wrong. What we see is everybody asking for fixes. It's all about the fix, the fix, the fix. This one's broken, that one's broken. It's very tactical, it's very time-consuming. We're shuttling emails back and forth between individual radio stations and individual vehicle manufacturers. Sometimes we just have to say there's no fix. But where there is a fix, we could deliver that far more efficiently to drivers and radio stations without this being a horrible manual process of sending emails around, which is also very, very difficult for us to measure and track. And that's important because we need to know if we're helping. The only way to tell is to properly measure if our intervention is making things better. Are complaints increasing or decreasing? Are the reasons behind the problems getting better or getting worse? Who needs to be doing the work right now to fix the problem? So this is our proposed intervention. We want to set up a central, public, online resource to capture reports, offer solutions, and measure improvements. It's quite an ambitious proposal, I recognise that, but we think the scale of the problem and the importance of the fix warrants it. We want this to be the place that not just drivers, but also radio stations can come to and report problems with radio station logos. That gives us insight, and it gives us measurability, and it means we can coordinate so much more effectively with this visibility of the real extent of the problem and the causes of it. Why would anyone report on this website? Well, because we intend to give them immediately helpful information on how to fix their problem. If you're a driver and you tell us what car, manufacturer, model, and vehicle year you have, we will try and tell you the fix that you can apply right there to fix the problem with your wrong station logo. If you're a radio station, we want to be able to do exactly the same thing. We want to structure it so that we can give that specific information based on the specific station and the specific vehicle. Now, that's a big undertaking for us to collate. That's a lot of data and information that we've got to organize in the background. But again, we think that's what delivers the value. From that, not only can we give immediate specific feedback to the people making the reports, but we can begin to collate and look for patterns about where and how things are going wrong. And then we can talk to people about how they can fix it on their side. It focuses our resource on far, far more effective outcomes. And of course, eventually, we want this project to be completely unnecessary. If we could shut this all down in 3 years' time, that would be amazing. Our job is done. We want to watch the reports of problems trending down over time. The existence of this should not be a systemic requirement. It's a tactical intervention. So I'd like to ask everyone in this ecosystem to help us with this project. It's going to be moderately complicated to gather all of that information from manufacturers and on the different way that station logos go through a myriad of different paths from radio stations to vehicles. But a little bit of time invested now will save us a lot of time in coming years, and that's time we can spend on real enhancements and real improvements to the driver experience of radio in the car. We focus this on station logos because it is by far the most prominent and most talked about problem. But if this is a framework that works, we may be able to apply it to future problems. I think this is an effective intervention. It's a specific, measurable, and time-bounded. It's necessary to correct a problem in the market, but not required to support it. These kind of interventions are not symptomatic of a structural failure. They're a one-off course correction which accelerates fixing problems. Station logos are currently the most visible and irritating problem, which is why we've approached it first. As I say, if we find something else that needs this kind of intervention, this may be the template that we can work from. I hope you agree that this would be a good use of WorldDAB's resources, and you join with us in supporting this intervention. Thank you very much.